it up for her. She's putting her earphones in right now. Oi, oi, Stew Pot and Spangles and Twisty. We're here. Welcome. Ignore that clock. You smell. You smell? No one says when someone smells nice, no one goes, oh, you smell. It's you smell nice. But if you stink, oh, you smell. You smell.
Yeah.
You smell.
Thanks.
There we go. 0203 286 6370 is the telephone number.
I smell figgy.
Figgy pudding, isn't it? Nice bit of figgy pudding.
Figgy.
Let's get the phones in. Let's get the phones going. The phones are open, guys. Why would you not want to call us? This is the only phone-in show on Twitch. And hey, did you guys? Well, let's wait for everyone to come in. Let me just check.
Come on in.
Come on in. Let me just check that the title is right on here. Let's get this right. It's Friday night. It's grooving. We're grooving. Who was that? Grooving.
No, it's moving.
No, it's grooving. Grooving.
On a Sunday afternoon.
It's grooving.
Oh, I was thinking you were singing "Moving, just keep moving."
I wasn't.
That's a
grooving.
Supergrass, isn't it?
Grooving was.
On a Sunday afternoon.
It was like a 60s band that never quite made it over here. We interviewed someone from it, and it wasn't the boring guy. It wasn't Tommy.
Not Fudge.
No, it wasn't Fudge. It wasn't...
Fudge.
Was it Fudge that did Grooving? It wasn't Fudge that did
No.
Grooving. No, it was... it was a really good band. They did... They did Grooving. Who did... Okay, welcome to the show,
Did
everybody.
you do Grooving? Was it you?
The Young Rascals. We had Felix Cavaliero. There we go. Thank you, Joe. She's just given me the respect I need. Felix Cavaliero from the Young Rascals on the show once. Here's people that we had on Talk Radio, which now just has... can't remember that fella's name, but...
Him.
You know the guy... I'm trying to think. It has the guy with the afro, who's an arse. It has the blonde woman who's an arse. All these are guests. How's all these people that are asses? We had first guest on the show. Who was the first guest on the show?
Was it John Sebastian?
John Sebastian, ladies and gentlemen, of the Loving Spoonful. Sorry, the Loving Spoonful. Second guest. It was a slightly awkward interview. Because I think he was in a very noisy room and had to go and stand by the window. And I don't think
Alpert.
Stephen Page, ladies and gentlemen, Mr.
Yes.
Stephen Page, Brown Eyes Dolly, thank you for the sub.
We had to get him to press his face against the window.
Yes, we did. Other people that we've since had much friendlier interviews with Mr. Stephen Page. Herb Alpert, who at the end of these things said, "Do you want me to play anything?" Well, yeah. Can you play the theme tune to Casino Royale? He did down the phone. He thought we wanted Spanish Flea. We wanted Casino Royale. He played it. Jim Bowen's rated us 13. I wouldn't. Not on. It is Friday the 13th, the spookiest of days, because, of course, Jesus went out with his mates and saw 13 ghosts on a Friday. Thank you. That's what it's about. Other guests we had on Talk Radio. Boring Man from Vanilla Fudge, but we didn't play that out because it's quite boring. Nesmith, Mike Love. I don't know if we had Dolens in the end. Tommy James.
Tommy James.
The great Tommy James. My baby does the hanky-pank. The Shags lady, thank you.
Yeah. Young lady you may or may not have heard of called Ronnie Spector.
Ronnie Spector. Imani Coppola. We also had...
Oh, Patty Boyd.
Patty Boyd. We also had, and I cannot remember her name, and I apologise, but one of the mamas and papas, the one that replaced Michelle Phillips when she got booted out for 8 months.
One, I think it begins with a P.
I thought it was like a Gail. I'm terribly sorry. She was incredible. John Lydon. We had. Thank you for the raid, Jimbo. It's always appreciated. Billy Bragg.
Yeah.
We had. Billy Bragg. David, thank you for the sub. Zermot, thank you for the sub. And by the way, right, if there are any of you right now saying,
who are these people?
Get out of here. Get out of town. Get out of town. You're not welcome in this part of town. It was
Jill Gibson.
Jill Gibson, ladies and gentlemen. What a woman. A member, an actual bona fide member of the Mamas and Papas. There's an anonymous phone call and I'm not going to take it.
Jill Gibson told us a story about Michelle Phillips bursting into the room and demanding to see her boyfriend.
Who was her boyfriend? Who was also on the show.
The glasses, white hair. Producer.
Lou Adler.
Lou Adler.
Lou Adler was
Beret.
on. Lou Adler was on the show. The
Yeah.
guy that produced the Mamas and
Oh,
Papas.
Johnny Eccles from Love. You're right.
Johnny
sister's right.
Eccles from Love. Ladies and gentlemen, we geez, that's an incredible gamut to run.
We also had Tommy Cannon.
Oh, we had Wayne Kramer from the MC5, Bob Mortimer, Tommy Cannon, Eddie Large, Rip.
We also had what's he got? Nicholas Parsons.
Oh, we
He
had
would have come on the week after as well because he'd forgotten.
We had Bill Oddie in the studio.
Tony Robinson.
Oh,
We're now
Sir
quite pally
Tony
with.
Robinson.
Yes.
Robin Asquith.
Yeah.
That is an amazing list of
Mike
guests.
McCartney.
Oh, I didn't include him because he's
Some
a
of those
mate.
people we can't shake off now.
I don't like to talk about mates coming on the show, so I didn't want to bang on about Michael, brother Michael.
Imani.
Many times, too many times, Imani. My boys wanted to listen to some Imani the other day, so I put on Unsung, the album that I put out and was responsible for and sold about 8 copies. And we listened to the Japanese one, and we listened to Saturday. That's such a great. It's a better. So it's not a good day for a breakup. Let's get together and make up. Agree to disagree. Make a list of everything you dislike about me. Put it on a piece of paper and throw it away.
Matt Lucas.
Matt Haig. Don't talk about Dennis Wise. Matt Haig. Don't talk about Barry from Watford. Alistair, 58.
Oh, and Jeff Goldblum. Do you remember that guy?
Jeff Goldblum. I don't think I have the Goldblum. Bone Digger. That's not Goldblum. Is that Goldblum? I can't remember. I don't think I have. Hang on, is this him?
Well, I really think this is great.
No, I don't think I have Goldblum on here. That's how.
I forgot to bat my swimsuit.
That's him.
That's how blasé I am about. Here he is.
It's a pleasure I get out of life.
Pete Heat, Noel Sullivan, Jess Conrad. We had Jess Conrad.
Sporty Spice.
Oh, for crying out loud. Slattery. Slattery is a strange old fish. Every 4 to 5 months. Frank Ifield. Oh, my God.
Yes.
Frank Ifield. We forgot him.
He was lovely, wasn't he?
Oh, he's so lovely. Because people were interested in him. We weren't taking the piss and we gave him half an hour. Same with Jess Conrad. I met Jess Conrad because he was on Dan Wootton's show and he was on for about 30 seconds at the end. And when he was talking to me, Dan Wootton was behind him going, as if he wouldn't shut up. And I'm thinking, I don't want this guy to shut up. I want to hear all these self-centered, wonderful showbiz stories.
Because a lot of it is persona. I don't want to spoil it for you, but the whole thing about him not leaving the house because he's got a mirror on the front door is not true. He's actually charming, isn't he?
Gail Porter, James Buckley, and Les Young, one of Britain's greatest songwriters, Mr. Gilbert O'Sullivan.
Dean Torrance from Jan
Dean
and Dean.
Torrance from Jan and Dean. Narina Palo. So Tony, Jim Dale.
Oh, yeah.
Bloke from Eggheads. CJ, I love CJ. CJ's now a friend of ours. Tony Slattery texted me the other day.
Again?
Yeah, Tony Slattery is a regular textist to me. And here's the thing. He never replies. I reply, and he never replies. Where is Slattery? Here we go. Hello, Ian. This is Sunday. I send you my kind regards to you and yours. Jesus fucking Christ, how the world runs wild. Point is, love to meet up sometime, all biblical plagues allowing. Love from Tony Slattery. And every time
you respond, you hear nothing.
Hi, Tony. You're so delightful. Hope you're well. I'm up for a coffee whenever you feel you'd like to. Saturday, 15th of May, I send my love and respect and admiration and antibodies to you. I'm with my boys. Can I call you tomorrow? Are you okay? How are you, Tony? That's it. Never replies.
None of your business.
None of my
I have a
business.
similar relationship with someone who I almost work with, but almost certainly won't now. Rose McGowan.
Oh, yeah.
I
Oh.
messaged her a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Just because every now and again I just get a little pang of, I hope she's all right.
Well, I don't think that they know that you nearly worked with her because that was behind closed doors.
I think I mentioned it. I was going to do a podcast with her, but I just get the feeling she doesn't want to do it. Turns out, I think she might be doing it, but they're not going to have me do it, and that's fine.
That's fine.
Because I don't want to herd anybody into doing it, and I don't think she's right to do it. but it's on her.
It's Andrea, Zermont, JKRX Art, M's a lot, Beastie Boy, Tottenham Andy. Thank you for your subs. Your subs now count. Your subs now count. We've just got our last payment from the old Twitch system. That was it.
Yeah.
So this month, it's not juicy, but there's a little bit of dipping, and I put the bread in there.
Is about to hit grass.
Now we're flying solo. After today, we're flying solo. We're in the Jimbo. I didn't see your 21 month. Oh, here we go. So I do apologise. I missed a load. Let me do these. Brown Eyes Dolly, Jimbo for the raid and for the sub. I missed it. David Williams, thank you. Zerma, and we're back up to date. So we're now into the Patreon world, and boy, oh boy, I need to get a smaller belt because I got to tighten that bad boy like there's nobody's business. So if you sub here, it counts. Here's what we'd rather you did instead of subbing. If you have Amazon Prime, sub. That's great. Thank you very much.
It'll cost you no extra.
We get £2 now. They've changed the prices. We get £2. Doesn't cost you anything. If you haven't got Amazon Prime and you're thinking of subbing, I think it's $3.99 now. Donate rather than sub. There's no adverts now. Well, there's a few, but we don't play any adverts now. Donate, and that if you've got $3.99, you think I'm going to give it as a sub. Donate if you can. Otherwise, we'll take the sub. Tottenham Andy, I'll be back on Patreon, but we just moved and the money's too tight to mention. You don't need to mention it.
No, you don't.
Don't need to mention it. $3.99 in browsers, $4.49 on mobile. Well, that's stupid. I have terrible stomachache. I've had a terrible headache. I started my step 5 today. Yeah, and I spoke to a friend who started his yesterday, and he messaged me saying, I've just did it. And I was in pieces. And I went, I'm not really feeling that. I've not really. Would you get more money if I sub directly or from Prime? Doesn't make any difference. So go for Prime. Chaz Hodges, thank you. I was like, I'm not really that bothered about it. I've done a step 5 before. So this is where I go through the list of all my resentments, all the people who have harmed me, everybody I've harmed, and my sexual inventory. So I went in, not feeling. I said to my sponsor, I'm not really feeling anything. He said, okay. And I showed you the bit of paper before. Here it is. How we do it. So I've made a list of everybody. So, and then what you do is you put the names in here, and then is there a resentment? Yes. Is there false pride? And that means, do I think I'm bigger than the person or smaller than the person? Is there envy? Am I envious of money and things? Jealousy? Am I jealous of people? Selfishness? Was I being selfish? Laziness? I still don't quite get that. Was I dishonest? Was I fearful? Right? So I'm like, okay, we'll do it. First one.
And then the idea is that there'll be a recurrent theme.
Yeah, there's a thing.
And you'll go,
Yeah. First one, I was in pieces. First one, there was snot coming out my nose. I was in pieces. Because he went in heavy. He said, let's start with your dad.
Oh, God.
I was in pieces. Then it got a bit lighter. What did we do next? We did a couple that were a little bit lighter. Then we did the Cubs, was in pieces. Then we did this guy who's phoning in, who's anonymous. Then we did some of my sexual indiscretions from my recent history. I was in pieces. It was horrible. It was horrible, and I've got a stiff neck because I've been sleeping badly. And as soon as we started, this neck was getting stiffer, and I was getting by the end it was borderline migraine. And I said, man, I got to go. He said, let's just do one more. And then you get on your knees and you pray, pray for it. He said, and boy, oh boy, without breaking any confidences, particularly around dads, but everything I shared, it was almost identical story, almost an identical story. Right, and the reason you do this is because this is some of the baggage that I carry around that was part of the reason I like to take cocaine and have inappropriate, sex outside of relationships and put myself in dangerous situations.
You were trying to have external things to fill the void in your soul.
Fill the void, numb the pain. And he said, I was giving him all this stuff, and he said, all of this stays in this room. When you go, it's here. It's gone, and then it disappears. So got on our knees and prayed. It sounds heavy. It is heavy. We're about a fifth of the way through. But he said, you've done the really big ones.
It needs to be heavy because otherwise you're carrying it around.
It needs to be done.
And it continues to poison.
And he said it gets easier. You've done the big ones. Now it gets easier. The next few sessions, it'll be easier. I got on our knees, and I got down on my knees, and I began to pray. I didn't pretend. And I came out, and I slipped into old behaviour. I went to the garage to get some paracetamol, bought a big packet of Oreos, and I bought a big chocolate bar. I haven't done that in 18 months. I haven't done that 18 months, 2 years. Packet of biscuits. Oreo. No, not Oreo, big chocolate bar. It went. And I thought, I don't give a stuff. Because this is not going out and buying drugs. This is not doing, anything sexy. I don't give a stuff. I just need this thing to do it. But I just thought it was really interesting. And I had this headache and blah, 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 blah. And it was horrible. But I know it's freeing. So if anyone is just starting their journey on the steps, don't be scared of this. Everyone's scared of this, and everyone's scared of the bit where you have to go and make amends. Sorry?
It was you. It was your share.
Don't think so.
What me?
Don't be scared of it.
That was you as well.
Don't be scared of it. 3 hours. And I, talked about some horrible stuff. Talked about some horrible people that did horrible things to me, horrible things. And I talked about some nice people to whom I had done horrible things. And doesn't mean that they're finished. They're solved because they've now got to look at, do I make amends? Where can I make amends? And the patterns were resentment, false pride, selfishness, dishonesty, and fear. Those were the ones that kept. And false pride is either feeling less than or feeling more than. So those were the patterns. Dishonesty and fear. Oh, and shame is not on this list for some reason. Shame would be there. So yeah, the bottom three: dishonesty, fear, and shame were.
Gosh.
Oh, here we go. Paul is currently on stage awaiting Sir Ian McKellen in Hamlet.
Oh.
No. Turn your phone off. No. You can't watch. No. When you go and see Hamlet at the Windsor Theatre,
make sure you're at the front of the toilet queue if you're a woman.
She stole the show.
Don't wear a jumpsuit.
You can sit on the stage. No, Chewbacca. No, turn us off. Naughty. Who says theatre? My mum still says theatre. Going to the theatre.
My mum went through a phase of saying hotel. She was working in a hotel, and I think she thought that was the posh way of saying it. Hotel.
0203
An hotel.
6370. So it's been a heavy day, and I feel physically it was coming out as a headache in my neck, and now it's a stomach ache, and it's okay. It's okay. Thank you, Alice. Alistair knows what I'm talking about. My brother in recovery. It was intense, but this guy who I don't really know, I'm learning, invited me into his house, kicked his family out, spent 3 hours with me, going through some really, talking about abuse and abandonment and all of this stuff. And I would tell my story, and he would share his story back. And do you know how much I paid him? Nothing.
No, but he knows it works. And you know it works. And in the future, it might be you on the other end of that.
Yeah, it will be. That's the thing. You keep what we have by giving it away. I've been thinking the last couple of days, and today kind of cemented it for me. I need, and I'm going to do it soon, I need to go to Edinburgh. I'm not going to cry. I need to have a word with my dead dad. That's what I need to do. I need to go to Edinburgh, and I need to have a word with him, where he's interred. He's not in a turd. His ashes are under
soil
the
is
thing.
like a big turd.
So I'm going to go to Edinburgh at some point. I'm going to see when I got the first available thing. Maybe go for 2 nights. See my stepmum, my stepsisters, my stepbrother if he's still around up there. People I don't really know very well. I've met them a half a dozen times. And then go and have a private. Look, I'm not going to cry. Private little word with my dad. Say, oi. What are you doing? So that's my plan. So it was good. It was healthy. It was good. It's powerful stuff, man. The steps are incredible. The people that came up with them. They were nuts. They were, but
they were less nuts when they finished.
Well, yeah, they were. Although Bill W, was shagging everyone, but he was not. He was sober, and we thank Bill W, and we thank the good doctor, and there's someone else I can't remember their name. 8 o'clock, we've got Jacqueline Paul coming on, who wrote this book, Order from Chaos, The Everyday Grind of Staying Organised with Adult ADHD. When I got diagnosed with ADHD, there were 2 books. There was one that was really badly written, but was the one that I kept telling you, oh, this is all the symptoms.
I've got it because you've very handily highlighted the bits. Oh. It's like a manual of how to think like Ian.
And this was the second book that I bought, right? And it's how to kind of function in a non-ADHD world with ADHD. Here we go. This is Jacqueline wrote early on. I feel there's an invisible force pulling me away from getting the laundry from the washer, putting another load in. What is that? The invisible force between me and everything I knew I should be doing was ADHD. But the term ADHD feels misleading. We don't suffer from a deficit of attention, but more an inability to corral it. Wow! Here's some of the symptoms. Here are some of the signs. We get uncontrollably distracted by random thoughts and stuff happening around us. As people chatting near our desk, remembering we were supposed to send Uncle Steve a birthday card, a spider building a web in the corner. We make impulsive decisions without thinking things through. We have a lot of inertia. Once we start an activity, we may have trouble stopping when we need to. We don't read or listen to instructions. We can have a hard time completing tasks in the right order. We struggle to organise our behaviour. She's coming on at 8. I've been wanting to talk to her for ages. This book changed my life. There's no understatement. It changed my life. She tells you gives you tips and suggestions. A lot of them I've put into practice. A lot of them I've decided I don't think they're for me or they're not for me now. There was a great post she had on her Instagram about if there's stuff on the shelves that she has to move, she throws it away. She has to move it to get somewhere or to dust.
Right.
It's gone.
Right.
And a lot of it is about clutter. It's about having clutter. A lot of ADHD. This desk, I keep tidying this desk and look at it. You know, the shelves are better than they were, but they're starting, it's amazing. Jimbo says, you are literally blowing my mind describing my internal monologue. This, I'll find the other book and tell you what it is. It's really badly written, but it was...
I've got it, I think.
Have you got the book?
Yeah.
Did I give it to you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'll have a look.
I'll have a look.
I know exactly where it is.
I'll have a look at my Amazon. So she's coming on 8 o'clock. So, and that'll be before the paywall, because I thought this was important stuff. By the way, the anonymous person who keeps calling in, there's not a chance we're going to open it because you're going to phone up and be rude about her or phone up and be rude about me. That's not the vibe tonight.
No.
That's not the vibe. Andy says, getting things off your chest is huge. Me and my dad haven't got the best relationship. I've bottled it up for years, never said anything to him, but finally I said how I felt and we hugged. Felt like years of weight lifted off me. Don't bottle things up. Well, my dad's dead, but I'm still going to go and have a word with him. And I need to go there. I need to sit there on the ground. And I need to light a little candle. I need to commune.
I've been more honest with my parents in the last 3 months than I have been for about 10 years.
Why?
Because I was pretending everything was all right before then, right? So, and I knew that they would see through me, and so I just distanced myself a little bit from certain situations where I thought I might be discovered.
Two muted bells.
But also, there was some behaviour that I've been tolerating, and but then I realised that my tolerating didn't mean that it wasn't affecting me.
Yeah.
So I called it out, and of course, the people in my family who had been doing it were horrified that they'd hurt me so much. And now I think about what they say before they say it. And it's great.
Okay, so it'll be like this. You're a dick. Is that how it's working? Is it me? No. It's tough to say. It's tough to be authentic and say that to people.
Sometimes you don't realise that that's what it is. But I realised that there were certain people in my family from whom I took criticism very hard. And I was always trying to impress them. And it never came. That confirmation never came from them, even though they thought they were just being kind of jokey. Oh, we don't do that sort of stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
But what I really wanted to hear was, you've done well. You've done really well.
Yeah. The jokey stuff easy. I called you annoying the other day, and you reminded me that you have a history of people, men in your life, calling you annoying. And you have told me that before. And of course, I'm doing it as a joke. But you reminded me that actually that is not a joke, and that has a big impact on you.
Well, part of me thinks, I might
take it on board. No, you're not. No more than anyone else is. You know, we can all be annoying to some people at some time, but you're not an annoying person.
Yeah.
And so I need to remember that, and it's banter. And we kind of reined it in the Discord, thank you. Because what I think is a joke, you might be deeply wounding to you or to you or to you.
Also, I think if you're a reasonable person, you look for the grains of truth in people, in the words of people you care about, right? So if you hear the same message over and over again, you think, well, how can I modify my behaviour so that I don't hear that anymore? But if they don't mean it, if they don't really mean it and they're only joking, then you can't do anything. You can't do anything to please them. And actually, you shouldn't, because people that love you, it shouldn't be a bargain. If you have to change who you are in some sort of way to be more palatable to someone in your life, that's not a relationship. That's not a real relationship anyway. That who was it said? I think it was what was it in? It was either your woman choose discomfort over resentment,
Brené Brown,
or it was her mate, whose name is completely gone, Glennon Doyle, who said, I think it was Glennon Doyle, who said, if you are worried that your relationship is going to go up in flames if you are authentic, then it should have been ashes yesterday. Because
say that again. I'm sorry.
If you are worried that your relationship is going to go up in flames because you speak your truth and because you're authentic, then that is a relationship that should have been ashes yesterday. Okay. Because it's not real.
It's not, yeah.
And that was one of those things that I read and I was like, right, that's enough of that book for the moment, because I'm going to have to do something about this and I'm not ready. And then one day I was ready and I feel so much better.
Are you aware of your development over the past 6 months, 12 months?
I'm aware that it's led to the demise of my marriage.
Yeah, authenticity though. That's being authentic for both of you.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I've always distracted myself by being the helper. And then sometimes you have to question yourself. And do you remember when Keith and Hemda called me out on that?
Yeah.
Is there something about that makes you feel better about yourself? Yeah, of course there is. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. Doing something nice for someone else is nice for you as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I do think that I was channeling my worries about myself. Distracting myself from worries about myself by trying to do good for other people. Yeah, and try not to upset other people. But there's nothing more upsetting than your friends than knowing that you're hurting yourself because you're not telling them the truth, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and real friends will be, and I remember texting, when I realised that I was bisexual, and I texted Catherine, I said, look, there's like some sex stuff I have to tell you. And you went, is it kids? I went, no. Is it rape? I went, no.
I never said, is it kids? Because that you always offered up, it's not kids.
It's not kids. There were two. And then the third one was, is it gay stuff? And I went, yeah, it is. And you just said, oh, I'm so sorry you felt you had to keep that a secret. That was it? So sorry you felt you had to keep that a secret.
Gay stuff.
Gay stuff.
Because that's how we talk to each other.
As our good friend the other day showed us.
He's doing it all wrong.
That was authenticity. And, my real friends went, oh,
for 2 weeks after that, maybe longer,
you
were saying you wish you hadn't said it.
Yeah,
and I know why now.
Yeah.
Because it's like, now I have to do something about this. This isn't it. This is the beginning of me sorting it out, and it's going to need addressing, and it's going to be painful. Yeah, but that doesn't account for the fact that it's been painful for years.
Yeah. I'm still full of shame around it. It still needs a lot of work doing. I hate it, and I'm full of shame. I'd rather it wasn't. But that's where we are.
But here's the thing that really got to me about that. For a while, I felt like I had to convince you that it was a good thing that you told me, right? Because you're like, I wish I hadn't said it. I wish I hadn't said it. And it wasn't that I was coaxing you to tell me more. I didn't want all the details and stuff like that. You can tell me as much or as little as you want to. It's your business. But. You said to me that you thought you were going to die with that secret.
Yeah. I won't tell anyone that.
Even though the slow release of it was leading you to hurt yourself. That's not doing anyone else a favour.
Now I want to change the subject because I hate talking about this.
I know.
But, I do want to give a shout out. We have a new section in the Discord Promote Your Shizz. And because I know a lot of the mods have got their own Twitch channels. And I know a lot of you are very creative people, and have Twitch or YouTubes or bands. So there is Promote Your Shizz, and you are very welcome. Hey, listen, I am at the moment, I'm having a little glimpse at everything that's posted. If it kind of grows and grows, I might not be able to. But everything that's posted, I've gone and at least had a little look at it. Someone might not see it. Someone might see it. One person who's really into... Stacey, for example,
builds Gundam kits.
Gundam. And he's flipping brilliant at it.
Yeah.
There'll be someone... Kat, when you're ready to mingle again, do you fancy a weekend in Dublin? You are one enchanting sultana. Do
you own a hotel, and can I be on my own? If so, double yes. If not, bit weird, mate.
But I can imagine that within our community, that there is someone who's like, oh, flipping it, someone's making Gundam models on. Yeah, I'll have some of that. So go and, Gatford, come on, that was just an old romantic. So go and have a look. And the reason I say that is because Jimbo, one of our mods, raided us, and Jimbo does a great channel. I couldn't watch it today. He was streaming about 5:15 because I was trying to watch a David Lynch film. Trying to watch a David Lynch film after starting my step 5. You're kidding me. Lost Highway, never seen it, and I thought that looks interesting. Vix came in. Vix introduced me, and I'm going to introduce you to Goose Goose Duck. Wonderful.
I listened to that. That was a mind bender.
It was an absolute nightmare, but I won the first game. So there's people there, so please feel free. If you're someone that we know, right? If you're like one of the close crew, one of the mods or something, promote your stuff in this channel. If you're not, go to the Discord, go to the Promote Your Shizz and put your links in there. If you're like a white supremacist or something, I'm not so keen on that.
That's actual shit, and we don't want that promoted.
I'm not so keen on that. Let's see. We were 9,999 followers on my YouTube. It's still 9,999. It was 10,000 the other day, then it went back down to 9,996. But I would like to I've been getting some great comments, and sometimes I just block them, and sometimes here we go.
Sometimes he has a little play.
Oh, he's wrote something new. He's written something new. Let's have a look at this, right? So this is on the video of lockdown arguing protesters. So Crispy Bacon. Let me go. Let's go up here.
If indeed that is your real name.
Any chance you can cut the Masonic crap out, Ian, with your you're now one of our 666ers.
You're spelt wrong.
Would you like to whack a day and show us the start of the Masonic Order? I've replied, unfortunately, the Brotherhood will not permit your request. Thank you for admitting don't even need to say that, a member of the Jimmy Savile fan club, and by so doing endorse him.
Endorse.
My reply.
Hopeless.
You are very welcome. I know it's supposed to be secret, but I'm trying to encourage the Grand Poobah to be more open. Unfortunately, our lizard rulers like to keep it on the down low. Down low made me laugh. He's just replied, oh, look, a Flintstones reference.
No, reference.
Reference, as they were Masons. Not really a secret when you gather in number in a uniform and wear it upon you, like the building themselves. They have the same logo. But then again, when there's only 2 options and you remove one, it's no longer an option. It is a statement of fact. Right, let me reply. I'm not sure.
I think that the only response to that is, are you okay, hon?
I'm not sure. Look, do you want an invite? I can get you inducted.
That's a double can there.
Oh, thank God. I can get you inducted, but you have to promise to stop being a twat.
I think that's a promise you can't keep.
A lot of them, I just delete, and you block them, and they don't. It's ghost blocking because you don't know you've been blocked from YouTube. But this guy, I'm having the time of my life with. I had the time of my life. And then there's one guy, Highlander 1969, who posted, and I deleted it, and I wish I hadn't because it was fascinating. basically the whole Patty thing was a con, and he said it was a genius move offering to give people their money back because they'd say no. Well, I did give people their money back if they'd.
But you would say that.
You would say that, wouldn't you? So I'm enjoying that. The YouTube channel, go and have a look. Should say 8:30 tonight. We go behind the paywall. What's the paywall, Catherine? How does it work? How can I get behind that wall?
You mean the portal to pleasures? There's only one way to find.
I get out of life.
There's only one way to find out, and you've got to hand over your readies. And it's not an awful lot. It's less than 2 Costas.
Yeah, a month.
Not even like a fancy one, just a plain Costa.
Yeah.
So have a look at patreon.com/Ian and Catherine, and there might be a package there that would entice
Well, the
you.
666, you're getting about 28 hours a month for 666. Plus, you're getting everything that's gone before. So you could, if you wanted to, you sign up today for 666. You download everything. There's got to be about, it started. There's got to be about 60 hours of stuff, right? And you just cancel it. I mean, you can't, it doesn't quite work like that because after you cancel it a few days later, the RSS feed. But if you get a tape recorder and hold it up next to your phone and record it, you can do it.
There are ways, there are methods.
You can do it. So the £20. We'll see you on Saturday for the. So I saw a couple of people signed up, upgraded to the £20 because they want to come to the 1 p.m. Zoom meeting on Saturday. 1 p.m. Zoom meeting for an hour. Me, Thingy Bob, the mods, and the £20 and above. We will see you there. We will see you there. We get to have a chat. You can join if you're a 666 or a 4.99 or a £2, a nothinger. You can sign up to the £20. Go and have a look. The videos, or maybe I didn't put it on YouTube, but sign up and come and join us for a meeting, and then cancel it. If you want. But Jimbo, thank you for gifting those subs to Lulu Squish and Visionary Soup. Dog Walking Dude had to give up work to keep up with the 666 content.
It's a common tale, isn't it?
That's my worry, is that there's too much. It's a genuine worry that there's too much.
We're not expecting you to want all of it. It's like it's a selection box of fun.
A few people. Sorry, I just spoke over you.
You did?
Yep.
You don't have to listen to it all. It's not compulsory, is what I'm saying. You might prefer my stuff.
You might do. A few people have said there's too much and I left because there's too much. And I get it. I'm kind of behind on my podcast. I've just found a new Beach Boys podcast.
I would rather hear that than someone going, I paid for what exactly?
Yeah. £20 gets Euro Groovy, which is superb.
Yes.
I've got so many ideas for stuff what we can do. Anyway. Good evening, Alistair. Let the show begin. Spooky. It's a spooky, very, very spooky Friday the 13th special. Alistair.
Hello. You're looking fine this evening. I like that dress, Catherine.
Thanks very much. I haven't worn it for a while because I think it makes me look quite booby, but I've got boobs. Deal with it. Proceed.
I have as well. Unfortunately. I'll just say.
Gatford says you can't see him. No, neither can we. It's a phone call, mate. Next.
It's a telephone, is it?
Jesus.
He's on the magic can.
Unbelievable.
Well, I was just saying, well done, Ian, on commencing step 5. Brilliant.
Thank you. It is commencement. There's a long way to go. I think we're going to try and meet up once a week until it's done because you don't want to sit in that stuff. But it was funny. I was thinking, I'm not really feeling anything. Okay, we'll talk about my dad. Why did you leave me?
No, but the point of that is that it's become normal to carry it around.
Yeah, no, it's powerful stuff, man. You know, Alistair, you've sat there and shared your secrets with, I'm assuming, another man and God. That's big.
Yeah. I was part of that exercise. I wrote letters to my mother and father, even though they're both not here now. So it is powerful. What I was going to mention in the night, and then I didn't, but I will now, is...
Yes, sir.
We're discussing step 8 in one of the groups recently, and
we made a list of people that we harmed and became willing to make amends to them. For those who don't know,
now one of them is actually a brother of mine who, in our early family life, was very controlling of the family, and frankly, I was scared of him. because he was really quite. He would pick on my other brother and really cause a lot of trouble in the house, and it really caused a lot of pain to my mum. And it was almost, what can I say? He would go from 0 to 60 just like that. So he would lose his temper. You're always standing on eggshells, and so you get the picture, right? He was, and this thing where I will list him as being someone that I consider he's harmed me, and I probably have not done my bit by actually confronting him, and I don't think I can now. I don't think it's within me. So I suppose, does that come under the heading that to make amends would not be appropriate in
Step
this
9,
case?
we made amends except where to do so would harm ourselves or others. Yeah, if that's, I mean, if that's what you and your sponsor have agreed with, have decided upon, then yeah, if it would be dangerous, I don't necessarily mean physically dangerous, but emotionally or mentally dangerous, then yeah, you don't do it. And there's a great way. We look at Karen's Kitchen, by the way. I've spotted you, and I'm coming to you in a second. We have direct amends where I go to Catherine and say, Catherine, I'm really sorry about what I did. Here is my process, and the behaviour was inappropriate, and I'd love to hear any feedback. And we have indirect amends where to go to Catherine would cause her harm or would cause me harm. Let's say I stole £500 for Catherine. Let's say I crashed her car or something and didn't own up to it and wasn't responsible. I would give the financial equivalent of the damage to a charity for people that have been injured in car crashes.
It's fine. Do you know what? I'll take the money.
No, something like that. Or, if, an indirect amend if I had cheated on a partner would be to be faithful with my current partner. Or, those are indirect amends. And that's for you and your sponsor to, agree with. But yeah, that sounds about right. You would never go. We never go and make an amends where we think the other person will be traumatized by us turning up, or where where it could be emotionally or physically dangerous to us. That's not what it's about.
And that's what it is really, as far as he's concerned. And unsurprisingly, I mean, we don't really contact each other that much these days. But yeah.
Can I ask you a question that might seem a little uncomfortable? Would you mind if I ask you a question that might make you feel uncomfortable?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Supposing you got a phone call tonight saying he had died.
Right.
Any idea? It's a dumb question because you don't know. Any idea? Would you have any regrets? That's the question. Would you have any regrets? Do you think?
Not really. I mean, I would feel, as a blood relative and someone I grew up with, I'd feel a little bit sad, I suppose.
Yeah.
Obviously, but
you would not go to bed thinking, "I wish I'd said that to him."
No.
Okay. Well, then that's.
No, I mean, I remember I did try and speak to him once, but I was drunk at the time, so that probably doesn't count because I can't even remember what I said.
That doesn't count.
I think he just said to me, you need to change your lifestyle, lad, or something like that, which I did. But,
And you don't feel the urge to show him what you have become and see if that, and I'm not telling you, listen, it's between you and your sponsor and your higher power, nothing to do with me, but you don't feel an urge to show him what you've become and see if that has some kind of ripple effect on him?
I don't, in the sense that I still feel that he's kind of a little bit of a sociopath, and therefore it wouldn't make any difference to him, whatever I appeared as.
Okay.
So, and I know I'm making some assumptions there, which maybe is a little bit, I'm getting out of it easily myself by saying that, but But I mean, as I keep saying, I mean, it's great that you got me back to AA in the first place. And also,
I didn't. I reminded you of it. You got you back to AA. I reminded you of it.
And Catherine, I was thank you especially because you recommended that book, The Four Agreements, which
and that was
I've
because
read.
of Paul. Rhythmic Paul was the one that told us about it.
Paul.
And I'm going to reread that because it's a wonderful little
I
volume.
need to reread that. I had read it before. I need to reread that. Hey, Alistair. Nice one, man. It's always a pleasure. It's always I always learn a little bit about myself when I talk to you.
Okay. Well, have a great show. People.
Thank you, man. Thank you. We've got Jacqueline Paul coming up in about 15 minutes, but I just see Karen's Kitchen is there.
Yeah.
This needs some big... Although we haven't tasted it yet. It could be awful.
I'm assuming it's nice.
I'm assuming it's nice.
We haven't got any cheese. It seems a bit weird sticking a spoon in it, but...
I haven't got any cheese. I didn't really feel like cheese today, but we got this, man. This is one of your birthday presents.
No, I think it was to both of us, wasn't it?
Oh, Karen's Kitchen, please.
It was from a friend of Karen's saying...
Post that link.
Karen could do with a little bit of publicity. And look at these.
Look at the packaging. Post that link, Karen, please. Karen's Kitchen, homemade pickles and preserves. I hear two words, homemade and pickles. I'm in love.
Well, there was a slight concern, Karen. We're not going to lie. And if you watch the show back from yesterday, there was a slight concern that there does seem to be an ingredient that...
Oh, spoonfuls of love.
Now, is that allowed?
Because they closed down that place that was making...
breast milk
ice cream. Yeah.
So where are you getting your love from? We'd like to know.
But this looks wicked. And I don't even want to open it and try a bit until I've got some cheese, because I don't want to... So, thank you. Can we get a link in the chat, please, for Karen's Kitchen? Lovely foodstuffs, please, because this is right up my... I would take off the picture of the oranges. I don't like oranges. So from a personal point of view, I would
love oranges, though. So
if you could just scribble over that on all of the boxes, just get a black marker and scribble over it, or turn it into a smiley face.
You might make marmalade. Then you do need to have an orange.
You don't actually. You can make marmalade out of anything. Lime. Excuse me.
There you go.
Lime. You put the lime. I hate that song.
Nyrek Flo, what are you on about in the chat? Could you make yourself understood or make yourself gone?
You put the lime in the coconut. I hate that song. Harry Nilsson's great, and his most famous song is You put the lime in the coconut. I hate that song. Oh, that didn't work. That's good.
Boland said that ice cream shop was just for those women to express themselves.
Oh, come on, yes. I like it. Who did
Freddie and the Dreamers?
Kind of Hush first. There's a kind of hush all over the world.
It wasn't Karen, was
tonight, all over the world.
Was it was it your fella? Oh, Carol, that fella.
Nope.
Wasn't it?
It was a British band.
Oh. You know what I mean.
So you don't know who it is, you give up?
No, I don't know.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, right. I don't really like them.
They're shit. There's a kind of hush. There's a kind of hush. Oh, they do that. There's a kind of hush. Here we go.
You mean they pronounce it properly?
There's a kind of hush.
All over the world. Tonight. All over the world. I've worked with him. He's a pain in the arse.
Is he?
Yep.
Who?
Herman? Noon. Peter No One.
Oh, yeah. He was sitting in the wrong order or something.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Come on, Noon. Come on, Peter No One. 0203 286 6370. Tonight is a spooky night, Friday the 13th. Spooky, because Jesus once saw 13 ghosts on a Friday, and that's what that's about.
There were 13 at the Last Supper. I think that's what it's about.
Last Supper, you don't even know when he ate. So that's a silly thing to say.
About 10 o'clock.
Please, what is the noise?
It's Chat It's Fate, the magazine that won't die, despite the fact that we no longer subscribe.
Oh, how are you still getting that?
It won't die.
If I'm getting charged for that.
I don't think you are.
So listen very carefully. Yep, Imagine being a pop star in the 60s and your biggest hit is I'm Henry the Eighth, I am Henry the Eighth, I am. I got married to the widow next door. She's been married 7 times before now. Everyone was an Henry, wouldn't have a Willie or a Sam. I'm a 8th old man called Henry. Henry the Eighth, I am. Second verse, same as the first. I'm Henry the Eighth,
There's only one thing worse than that. No hits at all. Would you rather have no hits at all or a really shit one?
No milk today, my lover's gone away. Because your songs are rubbish. Hell, I would rather. Hello.
Hello, this is Julie Prunes. Hello.
Julie Prunes. Julie Prunes. Yeah. Welcome to Julie's Prunes, the greatest chat show where all we talk about is fruit.
We've had Karen's Pickles. It's time for Julie's Prunes.
Let's talk about fruit. Fruit. Hush, I'm going to sack you as my accountant, even though you got me a tax rebate today.
He's very efficient.
£5 million. Got me a tax rebate today. If anyone wants an accountant, Harsh Singh. I mean, he might just be making it up and he'd go to prison soon, but he got me a tax. Julie, a tax rebate.
What? You can't use that word anymore. You can't call somebody a rebate. Oh, no, no.
No, we can't call it.
No,
okay,
no,
tax
no.
probate. No, I'm getting money from the tax man. This is a great time to be alive. Anyway, yes, madam. Welcome, madam.
Madam Prunes, what can we do for you?
Hello. I was just calling.
Hello.
Oh.
Madam Prunes, we lost you.
Why is Discord going off?
I don't know.
Could you close your Discord?
I'll read it. I'll read it. Yes, Madam Prunes.
Hello. Oh, I was just, you were talking about all things therapy, etc. And I had to start a new therapist for part of my last year of training.
Okay.
And I used an app.
Because you just reminded you're training to be a therapist stroke counsellor as well.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
So, go on.
I was going to say, Keith and the Girl have been publicising one of those. One of their sponsors is this app. And so if you don't get on with them, you just press a button and they're gone. There's none of that kind of uncomfortable...
And I think it is probably that app
What's
that I
it
won't
called?
mention because, well, do you want me to say?
You can
it's
mention
called BetterHelp.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
BetterHelp. And I found it really a difficult thing.
So I don't know it.
Therapist was, so you basically book in a time and then you get notifications and then they pop up on your screen in the app when it's the time. But the session was supposed to start at 2:30. She didn't get there till 2:34. I don't know, it's only 4 minutes, but those 4 minutes was like, am I on the right page?
Yeah.
What is happening? She didn't apologise for being late. There was a smoke alarm beeping every 20 seconds.
Oh, no.
My psychiatrist is always 3 minutes late. And I now know it and I factor it in. But the first few, I'm thinking, am I on the right day? What is going on?
Sure.
So how do you, and is it done, is it like you can see each other?
Yes, you can do, but you can do it either that way or you can have like live chat, so like live texting.
Oh, okay.
Or you can have like a voice, like a phone, like this, phone.
Phone, yeah, I know
But
phone.
I wanted to do face-to-face, and so we book in, and it was a 30-minute session, and they do 45-minute sessions, but I only got a 30-minute session, and it was a little bit slapdash, and I found that because I'm training, I know what kind of things that I would say, so I found that, and I wonder if that was part of the problem, is that I thought, oh, she didn't mention such and such, and she didn't do that, but I'm going to give it another go. But I found that there were some things.
How much is it?
It's what they want to do. So first week free, and then either £60 for a week of unlimited sessions. But then I don't know. It's the availability.
That's a lot of money. Unlimited sessions, okay, but £60 a week. I couldn't afford £60 a week.
Well, I mean, the therapist that I used to go to for an hour was £50.
Oh, guy I used to go, Chip Summers, when I saw him, £120, right?
What?
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's partly because he's in central London, it's partly because he's brilliant, it's partly because of the people that he's worked with, and I needed that at the time, right? I couldn't afford anything near, and it was a struggle back then, but he saved my life.
Yeah.
and counsellors in central London, you're looking at 80 to 120 quid. Quite. I had one that was more, but he was a con man. He was a genius, but he was a cult leader.
Yeah.
My one now is £50 a session, but it's £35 because I'm a student. I get student rates.
Sure.
But £60 a week is.
But if you have a book for a month, it works out as like £45.
Okay, all right.
A week.
Okay.
So that's a bit of a discount. But so I just booked for one more week because I don't want to pay 180 quid if I'm going to have my second session and think, nah, this is not working for me. But
can you not switch though? I thought that the point of it was that you can switch with no hard feelings.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
It's interesting, Julie. Why? I wonder. Maybe you could just spend a second just trying to think about why that didn't occur to you when you knew it was in the T's and C's.
Yeah, because I tell you why. Because I had to end my current counsellor, and I didn't want to end, and I don't really want to. I was just getting one just to get one, just to tick it off the list.
I really hate the fact that I've got to have a counsellor while I'm training. Sometimes I'm saying to him, I've got nothing to say to you. I mean, what? I've got nothing to say to you, really.
That's interesting, Ian. Why are you being so resistant
Exactly.
Sure, exactly. There's no downside. So, like for me, I'm going to be able to write about what my experience was and why I didn't feel that there was an instant connection, and it's all useful stuff.
Well, it is. Pete says she had to end them. Crikey, I don't think that means murder them, Pete. Please stand back. I suppose. I mean, my teachers hate the fact that people are still doing it on Zoom. My current counsellor is on Zoom. And I don't tell my teachers because I know they've told other people you need to go back. It needs to be face to face.
Why?
Because they think
smell the fear.
Because they're having a screen as a block to contact and all of that stuff. And I kind of get it, but I think their version to it. I think actually therapy on Zoom can be very beneficial.
Yeah.
But their aversion to it is very strange. I suppose there is something about this app. Maybe you got a bad egg.
Maybe,
could be a bad egg. I wonder what the vetting process is for the people that they use, and I wonder if it's convenience is sometimes there has to be compromise.
Yeah. It's like I was kind of amazed at. I said, so if I wanted to send you messages, you're going to reply to them all? Like, what's to stop me sending you loads of messages or asking for lots and lots of things? And she was like, well, yeah, that sometimes happens. And I was just thinking, I don't know. Well, I must give it more of a consideration, I suppose, and see how it goes.
I hate life. I really hate life. I really hate. Hey, I've got a placement. Did you know I got a placement?
Did you? Amazing.
Yeah, got a placement. It's a really, really cool place.
Have you started yet?
No, I haven't started yet. I'm hoping. I guess, mate, because there's all paperwork and DBS checks and stuff.
Sure.
Hopefully, the end of the month, maybe the beginning of September. They
amazing.
pay for supervision, which is
excellent,
incredible.
Yes, it is.
It's a really cool place, and I really dig. And I'm being deliberately vague because I don't want people to go and find it. But
yeah,
I
sure.
dig what they do. I really, I think it's really cool the way they work and what they offer to people.
Yeah.
So
used to be in bed.
Oh, it's the first time you see a client for real, because it is real. Yeah. It's terrifying.
I am terrified.
But I've got 2 clients at the moment, about to take on a 3rd, and it's been great and really interesting and developmentally really good. So you're going to be wonderful and you'll get so much benefit from it.
Julie, we have to go because we've got our guest Jacqueline Paul coming.
Yes.
Nice to talk to you.
Thanks,
yeah,
Julie.
You too.
Tutty buys, thank you.
Bye.
Dennis, thank you as well
Thanks,
for your
Dennis.
sub. I'm a podcast listener. Strange seeing you guys live. Thanks to you both for helping me through my work days. Let's get Jacqueline up.
Well, as long as your work isn't like, I don't know, being a
massagist.
No,
Messiah.
I was going to say like being some sort of like scythe killer or something. I was just trying to think of something horrific. As long as it's not something horrific, we're glad to help. If it's illegal, you're on your own, mate.
You are on your own. Why does it do that? This will be set wrong. It's always set wrong. And turn on the camera roll. Let's get the... Why is that... Oh, no, that's right. Audio coming through there. Audio through there. And now we wait for Jacqueline. Let me just put down her link tree. I don't like the word link tree, but it's very popular.
Yes, it's just a very easy way of putting all your socials down.
The easiest. Don't forget, 30 minutes, guys. We're going to go behind the paywall once we finish talking to Jacqueline. Run, Jim, thank you for the sub. It's appreciated. There's her link tree.
Jacqueline's in the waiting room.
Where?
Admit her.
It's there. Oh, God. Okay. Now I'm hoping that it comes through the right system. Otherwise, we're in really big trouble. There we go. Let's go to here. Let's move this out of the way. Jacqueline Paul, you are muted. And we cannot... You are unmuted.
Hello.
Hello, we cannot see you. I do...
There she is. Hey.
It's so nice to meet you. I really feel like I know you because of this. This has changed my life, Jacqueline. It's incredible. And I've been reading little bits from it, and I've highlighted bits when I was reading it. It's such a great book. This started because you had a blog, is that right?
Yeah, that was the start of it all, was the blog. And it kind of grew out of that. Interestingly, now most people find me through the book and then realize I also have a blog. But it started out the other way around.
When I'm recent ADHD diagnosis, like maybe in the last 3 or 4 months, and when I was told I was bipolar and ADHD at the same time, and I know there's kind of some crossover, and I started reading about it, what ADHD was. Yeah. And I kept phoning Catherine.
I would get phone calls. I need to read you my, what do you call it? Instruction manual.
Oh my God, it explained so much. Mm-hmm. It explained so much. Can I ask, when did you realize that you were ADHD?
Oh boy. It's sort of a 2-tiered process, I guess. I think the original suspicion on my part happened a little bit earlier on than I maybe talk about in the book. That when I was in the 9th grade, I had a boyfriend who had an ADHD diagnosis and took Adderall or something for it. And some of the things that he told me about it sounded very familiar. And I was like, this is in the somewhat early days of the internet also. So I did a little bit of research on my own, and I talked to my school guidance counselor, and I did like a little assessment in a psychologist's office that was like it was on the computer. It was like an ADHD torture device where it was 20 minutes long, and it either showed the number 1 or 2 on the screen, or a voice said the number 1 or 2, and you had to like click the mouse every time you either heard or saw the number 2.
Right.
and it produced this little bar graph for the evaluator that showed, how attentive you were able to be to this task, which I was not much. But then she said, well, do you want to address this medically? And I was like, oh, I don't know. And at that point, to do some sort of evaluation through the school would have required me to get my parents and teachers to fill out a questionnaire. And I think I sort of masked my struggles to the level where I was like, well, I can't talk to them about this. This is like something that they don't know anything about. Yeah. So I won't involve them. But then later on, after I had gotten out into the real world, as it were, I struggled a lot more also because school provided a helpful structure. And so when I had to mind my own home and office job and that kind of thing, I no longer had the structure of academia and a very harried retail service job that sort of kept the adrenaline going. That's when I was like, oh no, I need to learn more about this and really revisit it. So I knew like that I can trace back to about maybe when I first entered school at all. There were some enormous red flags that I did not know were such at the time.
And when I did the test with my psychiatrist, and of course I didn't do it for like 3 or 4 months. It's just sat there. And then I did it. I ticked almost every box. There were 3 boxes I didn't tick, and I sent it to him. And went, okay, well this looks like something.
But before that, we did one from the internet, didn't we? And you got me to do it as well.
We did a few from the internet, 30 questions, and I would get like 28 or 29. And I said to Catherine, but those tests are worded so that everyone gets 28 or 29. So you sign up to whatever they're selling.
Yeah.
And you did one.
Yeah.
And you got 4 in the test. But getting the diagnosis, and it suddenly it all made sense. And I read your book, and I read a couple of other books that detailed some of the characteristics and things that I thought were me being naughty, or me being thick, or
you being weird.
Me being weird were real things. The 2 big ones that got me was quite often, and this doesn't apply to everyone. So if you're watching this and this doesn't resonate with you, well then keep listening, because something else might. Quite often people with ADHD are unable to remember faces or names. And I read that, and Catherine, or when I was married, my wife I'd have to go if someone approached, do I know them? Yeah, that's Steve.
Or I would point someone out and say, you spoke to them, remember?
And I had to modify my language, coping mechanisms, because the number of times I said to people, oh, it's so nice to meet you. And they'd say, well, we worked together for a year. Oh, right. So now my greeting is, we've met, haven't we? I go in like that. And the other one, and this was a big joke between us.
Hubbub.
If I'm in a party and someone is talking to me, I cannot hear them. I cannot. It just turns into this one noise, and we would joke about it.
Yeah, because we go out to eat or something, and we'd be talking, and I'd just see him glaze over, and he's, I can't hear you. I can't hear what you're saying.
And of course, some people think that's rudeness. You're not paying attention. You're not listening. I'd really concentrate, and I'd look at the lips. And then I read in a book that is sometimes, symptom is the wrong word because it's not disease, but that is sometimes one of the things. And of course, it's all different. And and if I ask anything that's too personal, please just tell me, because I don't mean to. I'm just excited to talk to you. Can I ask, what are some of your key ADHD traits that are part of you, that impact on your life?
So for me, I had the organizational challenges I talk about in the book, but I also had, throughout my life, when I was in younger elementary school, I had a lot of behavioral problems that teachers would say I needed. One of my favorite was that I needed to learn how to work democratically in a group.
Oh gosh!
But there was all this social nuance that I did not understand. I had a lot of friendships that ended, and to me, it felt like one day I was best friends with someone, and then the next day they were a sworn enemy. I had no idea what happened. And some of those I still have no idea. But I did have problems with sort of impulsive behavior in social situations. And so growing up, my friends were all boys, because the boys were more rough and tumble and less about the social nuance, on the whole. That's a huge generalization that is not true for everyone. But for the most part, my close friends had always been boys. But even so, that the boyfriend I talked about with the ADD, I remember there was this time that he was like leaning against the lockers in the hallway, and I just kicked his feet out from under him, and he fell on his butt, and he was like, "Why would you do that? That hurt." I was like, "I don't know. It just happened." But I had a lot of things I would get in trouble.
Do you remember?
I did kick a stool out from under you, and it just happened. You remind me, Jacqueline. And by the way, if you see me typing, I'm just posting your links in the chat, and we're going to keep posting them, and you've got them on the screen. And we'll talk about the talks you've got coming up. I did a reality TV show over here where we all had to live in a jungle for 3 weeks, and I got dropped in 5 days in, so everyone else had been there for a week. And I was very nervous, and I came out, and everyone was there. And the first thing I said was, "Oh my God, you all look like shit." That's the first thing I've said to 20 people that I'm going to have to live with. "Oh my God, you all look like shit."
20
and their faces.
Vain celebrities who are already a bit worried that their mask might be slipping. And he
their
says
faces. And as soon as I said it, I thought, who said that? Where did that come from? But it was the first.
And that set the tone for them, didn't it?
They hated me. They hated me as a result. But similar to that thing with the boy, it just happened.
It just happened. And it's the thing is, those first impressions, though, it's my husband told me fairly recently, considering how long we've known each other, that he assumed when he first met me in college that I already had a bunch of friends and I was kind of a little superior. Like I didn't need the social group that I was part of with him. And I was like, oh no, I had nothing going on. I just didn't know how to speak to people. So I was usually just at my computer, sort of adjacent to the group. But, but it's, my growing up, my dad used to actually say who said that. He says it, but it's like he would say something he knew was offensive and then turn around and go, oh, who said that? It was kind of facetious, but it does sort of belie, a way that we have of saying the thing that we're maybe thinking before considering is this something that I A, should say at all, or B, maybe it should phrase in this way.
I'm reminded of I had a friend, Matt Allwright, and he's not a friend anymore. And I was going, but what did I do? Well, I said something rude to him on Twitter,
there's no nuance anyway.
Where there's no nuance, as a joke, and he took it as he was deeply offended by it. Now, of course, if I'd thought about it, I wouldn't have said it, but I just went, doesn't talk to me anymore. And it's that impulsivity, which I think has helped my career. It's also hindered my career and held me back, because I will say stuff. I'm getting better. How are you now with the impulsivity? Do you have some kind of filter in place?
I probably a lot better than I used to, but I definitely, before going, I have a lot of social anxiety, and like before going into a group social situation, I still like, okay, I'm going to do that thing that you're supposed to do where you wait for 3-4 chances to speak to pass before you interrupt. And I very rarely succeed at that. But then, afterward, I'll also, because my memory sort of gaps out a lot, after a social gathering, it's like, oh, I hope I didn't say anything offensive. And it's, I find, I don't know if you find this, but do you gravitate to people who are of a similar disposition?
Yeah.
Because if I'm around people who are all very nice, that's a little bit uncomfortable sometimes, because I'm like, I don't know what exactly they're thinking, and I'm going to forget to look at their faces and try to figure out what they're thinking by their faces. But the people who just blurt out whatever it is that they're feeling without worrying about hurting my feelings are actually maybe my favorite sorts, because it's, then I know. If I know I always know, then
what I'm having to do now is I'm really having to pay attention to you and not think of the next thing that I'm going to say. And of course, I thought that while you were saying that. That's another thing is, okay, someone's speaking. What am I going to say next? Oh, it's my turn. Yeah. That's a real big
and
thing.
People can see that, and
Yeah.
it looks like you've lost interest.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense, actually, once you know
Does
this is what it is.
hearing... I'm doing it now.
What you were saying about gravitating towards people that you don't have to use the filter so much. We were talking about that the other day when you said that I make your ADHD bouncier or something.
Oh, you make it bouncier. Having got the diagnosis, and I'm not on medication yet. We tried one, but we're kind of focusing on the bipolar and getting that steady. And I'm really keen to try medication. We tried one, Zagatin, which I think is kind of a Ritalin sort of derivative. I'm not sure. Going off on a tangent, and I can't remember what I was going to say.
No, but at the moment you're trying to find out what
I'm feeling
what it is. Yeah,
I'm feeling it now. I know what it is. I'm trying to feel it, and I'm trying to, when it's appropriate, let it go, not hold it back, and just see what happens. My kids find it hilarious that I'll just be in the car going off on like 1,000 tangents at once and doing voices and singing songs and going, oh, do you remember when we did that when you were 4 years old? And I'm kind of enjoying that release now. I know what it is, but I am looking forward to...
In the early stages, though, you did find it bloody exhausting.
Oh, yeah.
Because you were conscious of what it was and you were identifying it all the time. And you said to me, it's exhausting.
This book is great, by the way, and I thoroughly recommend this to anyone. We've got a lot of people in the chat who've been diagnosed, a lot who haven't. How easy is it to get diagnosed over there? Because here, it's lousy. On the NHS, it's like a 12 to 18-month waiting list. You can do it privately, but it's anywhere between £500 and £5,000. And the medication is not guaranteed on the NHS. It depends where you live if you'll get medication or not. Mm-hmm. How difficult or easy is it for you to get a diagnosis over there?
Well, you may have heard our healthcare system has a few of its own foibles. So it honestly does really depend on your situation and your level of access, which is unfortunate. I'm not sure if I say this in the book, but I do have a blog post about it. That what I did was actually a lot of employers here have something called an employee assistance program, which you're entitled to something like 6, it's going way back to my days as a human resources administrator, but you have something like 6 free mental health consultations that you can call, and it covers you and like your whole household. So even your roommates can use it, but a lot of people don't know that this exists. Anyway, so I just called their hotline thing and I said, look, I've allowed my life to disintegrate to a point where it's unbearable. Like, I really need to do something about it now. Because that's the thing with the 12 to 18 month wait, when you have people who often don't get around to calling for help until it's a dire situation. So that's not great. But I did get in to talk to someone, and then they just referred me back to my just primary care doctor, who, for better or worse, she said, we'll just try you on some of the common medications and see how you respond to them. And that may give us some clues also, but you meet the criteria. Some people go through a whole formal assessment with a psychiatrist, some do not. I do not. There are some really great, I actually, near where I live is like the nationally known ADHD center that focuses on care for women with ADHD, but they don't take insurance, so you pay $2,000 out of pocket and then hope that you might get reimbursed some of it. So sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not, and especially if you have sort of a non-standard presentation, that they might try to label it as something else, or if you have a doctor who's doubtful, then some people have a lot of trouble getting diagnosed, and then it's a matter of your insurance, again, getting the medication is sometimes a little spotty.
A personal question you may want to avoid: Are you on meds, and if so, what do they do? Because I tried this med and it didn't really it did nothing for me, basically. And you kind of have to, in this country, you have to start with this one to show that you've started here, and then you go to different ones. What does it do?
So for me, and I took notes at first because, sometimes you don't notice all the things that it does. And so I remember my notes that I took like the first week. The big thing I noticed is my perception of time.
Right.
That there was this big time that appeared between when I felt or thought something and when I acted it out. And I was like, oh, this is the time in which people were telling me that I needed to consider my words and my actions before doing them. And I never understood how others did that. And then suddenly that time was actually there, which was an interesting experience. But also I had at that time just coincidentally a pretty challenging week at work. And I remember it being Friday and I thought, it's just a week, like it's only a week long, and Monday we'll start again and it's fine. As opposed to how I'm feeling now is how I've always felt and how I always will feel. And this one time is all that exists. And, it's either all good or all bad, which is the term time blindness is passing out of favor in a lot of circles, especially on social media. But it is, Russell Barkley has a whole talk on YouTube about ADHD is time blindness, I think is the title, but he talks about this nearsightedness to time.
Taking notes, because this is good stuff for you to go and look at.
That, not only is it like, if you have to get ready to go somewhere and you're finishing something up and you're like, well, I'll stand up and go get ready to go, like not this minute, but like, I'm just one more thing. And then it keeps snowballing. But also it has that emotional component of, when we're feeling something, we're feeling it often very strongly and not perceiving anything outside of that, which is charming when it's a good feeling. When it's a bad feeling, not entirely so much. But for me, that perception of time really changed, and the ability to like feel something, I'm reacting to something internally, and acknowledge that without it sort of being a wave that takes over everything.
Yeah. What is great about the book isn't like it's not a diagnosis book. It's got some, it lists. It doesn't list. You write about traits and things that you noticed, and I've highlighted loads of bits. I live in constant fear of being found out by people who have me in high regard. I always felt others' trust in me was misplaced. Non-stop anxiety, struggle to create a social life. So there's stuff like that. But what is great about this, Order from Chaos, and we'll put the links again in the chat, is you give tools for how to kind of fit into a non-ADHD world and how to be slightly more productive and more focused. And I'm reminded of that because I've got a whiteboard here now because of you. I have a whiteboard. So when I'm doing the show, when I'm sat here working and I think, oh God, I've got to get that thing for the kids. Instead of diving straight into getting that thing for the kids, I can write it down and go, okay, that's that. It worked so well. I've got a whiteboard in the kitchen so that if I'm in there, an idea comes up, I haven't got to go and get my phone out and go online or sit at the desk. I can write it down. You do... I use the diary on my phone. Oh my God, I used to remember everything. I've got a meeting on Wednesday at 2, and I've got the dentist on Thursday, that's at 5. Oh no, hang on, is it the dentist or is it the thing? Of course, it was chaos. And the number of times I'd get a phone call saying, are you coming for your appointment? Or, I'd turn up a day early. I'm using the diary on the phone, which seems like such a simple thing, but it never, and I'm color coding things. And there's loads of suggestions in there like that. The one that really got me, and you'll correct me if I've got it slightly wrong, and I started it and I'm struggling with it. You posted on Instagram about if there is something on your shelves that you need to move to get to other things or to dust, you're getting rid of it. Have I got that right?
Yeah, I mean, not obviously things that are, prized possessions, but I think it is common for people in general to keep things in their homes that are sort of decorative or whatever. My go-to example sometimes is a plant stand, even though I have plants all over everything else. But if a shelf is a good example, if it's too full of stuff, I won't dust it, and then it'll, the dust will accumulate, and then I'll feel badly about it, and this angst is happening. I'm mad about the dust, and it would take 2 minutes to dust it, but I'm not because I have to move those 3 things. I do really evaluate: is this something that I need to have here? And I have gotten rid of things because I don't enjoy them enough to offset the cost of having to manage, like the physical management of just having a thing that you have to maintain and clean around. I'm big on simplifying for make it easier to do. Don't learn how to try harder to do the thing, because
make it easier.
Make the thing.
And I started that. These shelves were a mess, and I read your book, and I got rid of so much stuff. It's just starting to build back up again. I'll put this on this. It's just starting to build back up.
But I remember that when you read that and you went, I've got too much stuff.
Yeah.
I've got too much stuff. It's starting to the walls are coming in. It's like,
yeah.
Get rid.
What do you think? Because you've known me before the diagnosis. I'm guessing the diagnosis was not a surprise.
No, but I don't know about these things. But the more you show me in these books, highlighted sections where it could be written about you, the more I think it was flipping obvious. And why did we not spot it before? But why did your teachers not spot it before? Why were you allowed to think that you were somehow not a kid who could, a disruptive kid or a?
I was at school in the 80s, and no one knew what it was then. It was naughtiness, and also, I kind of do think it's not. I kind of think it's not necessarily the schools. They're there to teach, and they can't go, this kid.
But they do now.
They do now, but it was the 80s and no one knew about it. And, I remember we both have presented phone-in shows, Jacqueline, sort of from the late 90s onwards. And even in the early 2000s, I remember Nick Ferrari doing it. You get phone-ins. There's no such thing as ADHD.
Just naughty
it's
children.
just naughty kids.
Yeah.
What should we do with these naughty kids?
Yeah.
Do we suspend them? Do we expel them? Do we smack them? What do we do?
Yeah.
And that was going on in the last 15 years. There's no such thing.
Because the popular, perception was you're just sedating naughty kids rather than dealing with bad parenting.
Yeah.
I remember people having that conversation and being absolutely convinced they were right. None of them, of course, being parents of kids with ADHD.
How did you? Well,
people still say that.
Yeah.
They do. I've had people say too, "Oh, well, we don't believe in labeling and all that stuff," and I always sort of have to look at where they're coming from, because I had someone say that to me who was a parent of kids with ADHD, but they had tremendous resources to send them to private school and get them tutored and just oodles of money. And I was like, well, okay, you've given yourself a lot of privilege to say that you don't need the label, but for the vast majority of the world, I mean, a lot of people are very thankful for the label and the knowledge about it and knowing there's something they could do.
And you were relieved, weren't you?
Oh, I phoned you up singing. I've got ADHD. Because it explains so much. And you still have to be careful with GPs over here. If you get, there's a lot of them that still don't believe it. The actual doctors don't believe that this is a thing.
Yeah.
And, or they'll prescribe antidepressants for, there is a
which makes it worse.
Well, yeah, there's a correlation between depression and ADHD. There can be also a correlation between addiction. I'm a recovering cocaine addict, and my psychiatrist, when we're talking about meds, and a lot of them are amphetamine based, so we're treading very carefully. And he said, when you first started taking cocaine, what did it do for you? At the end, it was a mess, but what did it do for you? And I said, well, when I remember the first few times I took it, I was really focused, and I could get knuckled down, and I could do stuff, and it made me laser kind of focus. And then, of course, it went out of hand and became awful. And he said that's quite often people who are ADHD will turn to something like that, subconsciously or consciously, whatever, because it works. It works for a bit. And then it stops working. You can't continue taking cocaine, unfortunately. How did you write a book? Because that to me seems, this is a big, brilliant, thick book. How did you do this?
Well, so I, the same way that I escaped any suspicion from people surrounding me of having ADHD in my childhood, I am a linguistic thinker. I've always been a writer, and I found it easier to express my thoughts in writing than in speech, which actually my next book is going to be much more sort of a memoir about friendships and whatnot. And I just was writing this chapter about how one of the many times that writing my feelings out instead of saying them got me into trouble, because I gave a letter to a classmate with things that were, as I was informed later, very hurtful when put in writing, but defensible if I had just said them in a way that could be forgotten. But so it's just my brain works very linguistically, which goes against the stereotype of ADHD making us very visual and spatially creative. I definitely met a lot of people like that, just not me. But it also meant that I could sort of coast along academically and get you're too smart to have a problem. But yeah, so writing has always been sort of what I do as a creative outlet, and that's so yeah, reading and writing are a challenge for a lot of people with ADHD who maybe are more visually oriented, but for me it's my sort of hyper focus outlet is books. So
I do like reading, but I've just got a Kindle for the first time, so suddenly I'm carrying around 60 books in my hand. Oh geez, I'd read 2 pages of one and go, I'm bored. And I've got like 6, 7, 8 books on the go now because of this, and it's wonderful, but it's kind of tough. How there are so many different things in here: folders, keeping tables clear, putting things away, magazines in kind of boxes and or magazine racks, and if you've not read them after 3 months, then getting rid of them. All of those kind of things. How did you come up with them? Was that just trial and error?
Some of it was trial and error. Some of it is, I think, where I've gotten things from other sources, I do cite them in there. But yeah, it was a lot of trial and error, and then sort of extrapolating from, my whole thing with containers and what can that do? You keeping something safe, like with the whiteboard, that's a container where you can keep things safe and not be anxious about forgetting that idea before you can get to it. But once I recognized that the sort of physical surroundings influenced my ability to focus significantly, then I started looking for, if you have the teetering stack of magazines, that sort of doesn't feel very good, as opposed to if they're just the same stack in a little bin that also kind of self-limits when it gets over the top of the bin. I'm like, okay, I need to confess to myself that I'm not, like, the New Yorker is a weekly magazine, and I cannot read every single word of every one. Then I give them away. But yeah, a lot of it was trial and error. And so a lot of this sharing my story was just, here's what works for me, and here's how I arrived at it, because I think there are also a lot of prescriptive solutions out there. We all operate differently, and different things will work. So really, it's a matter of getting to know yourself. And
that's great. And there are some things in there I haven't done, because I think there's a couple of things I've tried that haven't worked. I downloaded, I think it's Todoist, which is an app that helps you keep a track of things. And I did it for a week, and it didn't work for me. I think one of the greatest things in here is differentiating between tasks and projects. A task is
that's a big one.
One thing. A project is a series of tasks. Oh my God. When I saw that, it was just... I'm one for writing lists, and I used to write a list in bed of what I needed to do the next day. But I would put down a project that had to be done as one thing. When you break it down into tasks, my God, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
That's just beautiful, that one. And that's a really simple one that anyone can do.
It's the reason that a lot of things don't get done. Usually when I'm struggling to get something done, it's because I've tried to just shortcut it and put the one thing on the list when it really needs to be, because our working memory is often really faulty. So it's that part of your brain that allows you to have like more than one thing in there at a time and think of everything together. We are not as strong on that. And so I need to do it on paper. And if I've written down something like, there's a recall out on the car, get the service work done. If I write that on the list as one thing, it's like, that's never, ever going to happen, because it's actually, 6 things that need to happen to get that done. And I just can't hold it all in my head when I see that one.
Tim in the chat is by the way, everyone in the chat is loving this. Let me post the link again. Tim is saying he needs to get the book. The book is Order from Chaos, Jacqueline Paul, and I've been banging on about it for ages. You're doing some courses as well, aren't you?
Yeah, it's kind of an experiment in a way. I did, it's a 7-week workshop that I did with my Patreon folks actually over the summer, and it was a lot of fun. It's basically it's like a sort of interactive form of the book. Like if you're having trouble getting through the book on your lonesome, and you want to maybe make some friends, then that's the format for you. But yeah, we would get together and each week cover sort of a segment of the book and discuss, share. People would turn the camera around and share some, success story or whatever, and people could help them celebrate the small wins, which was a lot of fun. So it's kind of a new thing that I'm hoping to expand, because I didn't expect to enjoy it so much over the summer, but it was lovely to get together with like-minded people and have a environment to sort of learn the concepts of the book without having to just sit alone in your living room and try to slog through it, which I know for those who do struggle to do that.
I found this a tough read, because there is a lot of information, and it took me ages to read it, but I loved it, and I devoured it. And I kept phoning you up or sending pictures of bits and going, oh my God, look at this. This is how I can do this, and this is why I struggle in this environment. Yeah. Your book has changed my life. It really is as simple as that, Jacqueline. It has changed my life, and it has improved it immeasurably. And, being diagnosed at, I think it was 47, I guess, it was a shock, and it was a relief, and it was wonderful, and it was heartbreaking. It was all those things. And I was looking for books. I couldn't find that there were, surprisingly, because I think there are less women being diagnosed with ADHD, and I don't think that's because less women have it. It's just the way it works. So actually, there are quite a few books about women with ADHD, because it's kind of a hidden problem is the wrong word, but it's a hidden issue. And there were some books that I got, and they weren't particularly well written. There was one that I've got that isn't very well written. I can't remember the name, but actually had a lot of information in. And then there was this, and it's changed my life. So thank you so much for this.
That's very flattering. I love to hear when it's reached someone.
It's true, and I have a whiteboard here because of you, and I love it. It's my favorite thing. Thank you so much. Do we know when your next book is coming out, or is it still early days?
It's still early days. I would say, certainly 2022. Okay. But unless I do, there's another smaller project that may come slightly earlier. But the pandemic it was not so good for work for many of us. So everything's a little behind schedule, but it's good to be sort of getting back in it to the extent we can. Hopefully that continues. I know things are...
Fingers crossed. I'm not quite so sure, particularly without government, but that's by the by.
Well, yeah.
Jacqueline, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you. Honestly, you have had such an impact on my life that has kind of, the ripples are affecting my kids and Catherine and the show and so many things.
Yeah, it's been great. It's you just been able to identify with somebody and realise that all that stuff we'd filed under quirky stuff that Ian does is not that quirky, not that different.
Rudeness, and there are now tools that mean stuff gets done when stuff didn't get done. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. It's really, really nice to talk to you, and thank you for your time. And when the new book comes out, you're welcome to come and chat with us anytime if we can help in any way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. This has been nice.
Lovely.
Thanks,
nice
Jacqueline.
to meet you.
Right.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
She's great, right?
Yeah.
Quiet Blokes ordered the Audible book.
But
That's
I think
the thing.
a lot of that is really useful for everybody. I'm a bit of a procrastinator. I see the tangle rather than the little knots that you can unpick. So that thing she was talking about there about getting the car service, I know it was hypothetical for her. I need to get mine done, but I can't be asked. But what I need to write down on my list is phone the garage.
Yeah, well, and that's
it. If I just did that, I could do that. It would take me 5 minutes.
And that's it. Car needs to be... Excuse me.
But instead, I think, I don't know what I'm doing next week. I can't think about that right now. I'll do it another time.
Yeah.
And the weeks go on.
It is the breaking the tasks and the projects thing. That for me is the key takeaway from the book. It's great. She's amazing. And what a lovely human being as well. What a delightful human being. I knew she would be having read this. Thoroughly recommend it. It's just full of highlighted bits where I've gone, okay, all right, this is what is going on for me. And I say it's not a I felt insecure in all my relationships, both personal and professional. I had nowhere to retreat. My life was a mess. I had no space to gather my thoughts. Chaos lurked everywhere. I rarely communicated with long-distance friends or family. I struggled to create a social life in a new home. I either felt I didn't have time because I needed to catch up and calm some of the chaos, or I wasn't organized enough. I wanted to write a book and publish articles, yet dedicated no time to my creative pursuits.
There we are.
We'll get the chat in Discord and we'll put that out. I think we put that out as a podcast for everyone as well, that everyone should have access to that. Ian, please stop reading from my brain. I'll find out what the other book was. It's quite badly written, but actually it was really, it had some really good information in. We overran slightly, but I think that can't go behind a paywall. But we can go behind a paywall. You want to see the rest of the show up till 10 o'clock? Go to patreon.com/IAIN and Catherine with a K. Ian and Catherine. Sign up to the 666. You will get the link. Why is there nobody in the YouTube chat? What the hell is going on? Because that's where we're going right now.